Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Dead Space 3. Let's continue. So, we were limited to the point where we couldn't go past this area until we had the snowsuit, which that does kind of make it seem like we may very well just be setting ourselves up for a boss fight. We're still looking for Ellie, I suppose. Like, we don't have that fear of having to be near fire, so that whole scene was just a gimmick. There's still a lot of game that's happening here, so what I'm suspecting is going to happen is Ellie and whatever remains of the survivors are going to get captured by the unitologists. Maybe the unitologists are going to make us do some projects and work for them. That's pretty much all I think I could really guess. That definitely feels like you should be able to walk up there and get a better vision of what this crater is. And I assume the big reveal is that this is some giant, like, marker type crater. Some giant device of some sort. What you kind of would expect is that they would introduce some other kind of device. Something new, something we haven't seen before. We weren't really shown anything new in Dead Space 2. It was just more markers or fake markers. That took a lot of bullets. And I feel like that was more scripted than anything, because with the whole stasis thing and all of that going on. So what it seems to me is happening here is the game has decided to really ramp up the difficulty, which is fair enough because the game was getting ridiculously easy fighting the Necromorphs up until this point, and now we seem to have snowsuit Necromorphs, and with the introduction of snowsuit Necromorphs, they are going to be way more of a challenge, and they are going to give us a reason of some small amount to continue to try and get our damage to go up, because I was one-shotting Necromorphs up until this point, and with the stasis coating enabled on the gun, that certainly felt like that was something that was just going to continuously happen for the rest of the game. Arguably, they should have thrown the stronger Necromorphs in maybe a chapter earlier. We don't particularly have a rappel rope, so that whole sequence during the prologue probably can't happen again. Although I imagine they'll try and figure out a way to make it happen again. And there's just a lot of sequences like this where we're seeing cutscenes like this. And frankly, these should just be cutscenes instead of QuickTime events with prompts. Particularly since they are awkwardly having me just press forward, so I've just been holding down the forward button this whole time, because that's easy enough to do, is hold down the left stick forward controller.
Piece of shit.
The only thing that really establishes is that there is a... Boy, does that look dark. That was like really white and bright when the snowstorm happened. And then when it triggered the snowstorm to go away, we see it's very light. That looks like a really big facility, but you have the problem here. We're not in space anymore, so it's not dead space. And that looks like a dragon's head, but maybe that's just a mountain, or maybe that is the skull of some dragon-like necromorph. We aren't going back by the looks of it. Let's see. And yeah, we're just expecting that we'll hit a facility that looks a lot like a spaceship. That's what I imagine it'll be. It'll just look like a spaceship, and yet it will not be in space. See, that was just a regular necromorph, and so they're showing us the difference. So we're getting a A-B comparison. And yeah, I am one-shot killing those instead. One thing I did notice there is that it does seem like the regular necromorphs are faster than the more humanoid in the snowsuit necromorphs, so that may be a part of the whole journey too, is that we'll have stronger but slower necromorphs. Looks like there might be something down there. It's hard to tell. It's all very pretty, but it doesn't serve much of anything. Like, this big area feels like an area where we should be either getting attacked by a lot of necromorphs or a boss. These pretty mountains, while great for Skyrim, which I guess ironically the Skyrim in space game still has yet to manifest itself, from Bethesda, now owned by Microsoft.
Carver! Down here! Clarke! How the hell did you... Never mind! Come on, we're in... Oh, shit! Langford! They're coming over the outer wall, you hear me? They're headed your way! Damn it! Clarke! We're in Central Command! Get up here!
So should I be like shooting these guys? I can't even really aim at them.
Ellie! Are you there?
Isaac! Oh my god, he's alive?
That's great.
Ellie! It's so good to hear your voice.
How did you make it? The ship, we thought you were
I
dead.
followed a trail of flares. Are you guys all right?
We had to
I saw
have
Carver.
printed
We're
signs.
fine. Carver's close, we can hear him. Look, Isaac, please hurry up and get here. We're in Central Command.
I'll be there as fast as I can.
We're getting more of these weird sound effects. Sounds. See, and that wasn't the military guy that would be the co-op guy that was with you, I don't think. But maybe it is. Alright, well. Start the generator again. We do way too much of this for what little it's worth. And I am just full of items again. We could get maybe a little bit of tungsten, but we're not anywhere close to having enough tungsten to do anything. Let's see. The question, I suppose, would be slower reload or slower rate of fire. Damage. Well, we don't have a damage +2, so it doesn't matter. And I don't think there's any reason to upgrade those. What's funny about this, though, is my weapon, its damage can only go up so much more. Like, it can be as high as the shotgun, I suppose, but not any more than that. We don't need another tungsten key. We, at this point, should just go and sell all of these. Bullets, I think I would hold on to, but I will sell that much as far as health. And there's really nothing else to craft, so we'll leave it at that. We can go ahead and place a scavenger bot or two. They need to be placed somewhat away from each other, but not kind of realistically that far away from each other. In a funny way, it seems like they want you to now go back to your EVA suit, which I don't see any reason why you would want to do that. It would make sense if the suits had different upgrades, but they don't. So, yeah, I could upgrade the number of stasis shots by 1 with the amount of tungsten I have right now. Or I could upgrade the amount of damage here, which is kind of unnecessary as far as an upgrade, as far as just how much. Another 20% on kinesis for something that I've never even used. Yep. None of it really makes any sense. I wouldn't be super surprised if Ellie and the rest of the group are crazy. Like, we just had that whole sequence of starving, cannibalistic people. Are we gonna have a real fight on this guy, or is that just gonna be a cutscene? Go ahead and let's go ahead and use our regular gun then. It's just so video gamey, so normalized to simply just shoot at the glowing orange. This is very different from a regular Necromorph in that we are not really getting rushed by this guy. It also seems like my damage, even when I'm not really aiming, is still doing enough damage for it to not really be an issue. Unless I'm supposed to stasis this and I'm out of health kits. Yeah, that stasis did not last. I don't know if I just there succeeded on getting through one phase or what, but I'm about to run out of bullets. I am probably going to run out of like, I have no idea what I was supposed to do there. So let's try this again. Alright. Like, I can dodge these guys fine, but like, unless there was something like, I just don't have enough stasis to really keep him from like, I don't have enough stasis to pause him and do much else. So, I suppose this is supposed to be the, like, equivalent of a giant version of the like, I suppose this is supposed to be an equivalent of a giant version of the big crawling ones with the tentacles. I guess that's the idea. But you don't really have time to change weapons. You barely have enough time to reload. This might be the difficulty spike, certainly. Is there any running from this? No, not really. But, like, it just attacks you, and no amount of distance you can put in it is close enough. Like, you can't get far enough away. I don't have, like, a grenade or anything. Alright, well, that was absolutely awful. Just absolutely awful. As far as, apparently there's all kinds of pickups all around here, but I'm gonna also have to run back into the area, the room, and try and get as much resources as possible to replenish. Yeah, and it's... Oh, I guess you just cannot get into that room. That room is totally gone from the looks of it. I don't know if these are infinitely spawning resources or anything like that. Probably not, and even if they were, they weren't giving me health kits. Yeah, that just wrecked me, and it certainly highlights why we don't see any bosses. I would also say, though, you can't really have bosses in a live service multiplayer game. You can have a few, certainly, but at a certain point, if you don't keep the game moving, you will suffer horribly. I suppose games like Destiny managed to introduce things like that more. Interesting that the door opened by itself. That's the first time that's ever happened. This is a very different kind of door. Interesting. Is it safe in here? Do I have any reason to believe it would be safe in here? It doesn't look particularly well barricaded. I'm hoping we maybe only have to fight that creature one more time, if even that much, and then we never see him again, because that would be annoying to have an even stronger version of that character that you have to go through that phase multiple times. This might be one of those sections where you also are spending a lot of time just walking from point A to point B, and we may jump into the next chapter. I still don't get the story. Of course, I'm not reading any of these text logs. Pause now if you want to read them. But a military story of military people who are long since been dead doesn't really give you any information. Kind of funny that they'd be called Necromorphs, because the timeline seems to not really line up with that. You would think that the phrase Necromorph was made up on the Ishimura. Pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if you want to read the rest of that. Because now, if they had discovered and knew about Necromorphs what I think is 100 years plus before the Ishimura's outbreak, then that just implies that somebody totally knew what the marker was going to do and about the Necromorphs and caused the outbreak on the Ishimura, whether it was intentional or not. I don't get the whole metal building concept here for a game set in space, set in the future. It doesn't make a lot of sense. If they seriously are going to have us fight another boss battle without giving us any preparation, that's going to be really unfair. But I guess I did definitely call that too, that it was going to be a boss arena. Let's go ahead and see what's in this garage. We may be going too far in the wrong direction, but we may be going just fine. This may be more of an open world area. Pause now if you want to read that. Flickering lights. But I seriously suspect we're not going to end up having... Just step behind the door. Let's go ahead and use a medium one and a small one. Heck, we can even use another small one. Not sure I went the right direction though. Like, this may be an area we have to travel through anyways. Or this might just have been a side area. We may very well be given storyline reason why we have to come back this direction. And we'll maybe get lucky and the items will get regenerated. There is a car of some sort up here, so I wouldn't be surprised if we end up coming back and having to activate that car. +2 clip, -1 damage. And again, not really a setup that makes sense. You got a lot of these pinup girls, which that's fine and all. It just doesn't really add too much to the environment or the world. Though, as you just kind of assume that is the case with military people. Or at least the 80s Aliens movie. That's what this feels a lot like, is the Aliens movie. Or Aliens, not Alien 1. Alien. Yeah. Another one of these doors that automatically opens. I guess it might have been a good move to have gone ahead and picked this up. It's a little bit scantily clad, nude. So at some point we'll probably go that way, but for now we're going this way. And here we have a cutscene.
About time. Isaac.
Isaac, you made it.
Thank God.
I knew you'd catch up.
Well, she is now
Made it, Isaac.
more appropriately
Maybe we should
dressed.
give you two some time alone, huh?
What the hell does that mean?
It means for someone who's in the past, you're awfully glad to see him.
We need him. This mission needs
Come on,
him.
we need him or you need him.
You got something to say to me, Captain?
Stop. Just stop.
Didn't the captain die?
We need to shut down that damn machine, and we don't even know where it is yet.
I guess that was somebody else.
I mean, I think I know how to find it. Well, I've been digging through what's left of the research notes, and
I thought all that stuff was destroyed.
well, computers
It's
did,
weird that
yes.
their
But the
spacesuits,
written
they're
logs discuss a signal
look
tracking
different than your
experiment
suit.
that pinpointed the machine's exact location. Well,
They're
I
all
think if we
different.
repeat it, we can do the same. But it's at the other end of the complex.
Yeah, fine. Fine, let's have a look. I could use a change of scenery.
He's a real asshole. You know that?
Okay. So now we have an objective. We have a side. We're trying to locate an experimental facility. This seems to be some kind of war game or actual war that was taking place on this location. We've got one of these, so we should use it. Now we have a pneumatic torch. Now is kind of the perfect time to get more resources since we're fairly short. I'd kind of like to see areas like this more brightly lit. Like the exceptions that prove the rule. Now I wonder if all 4 of those lockers were unlocked specifically because it knows I'm low on resources. Well, if that's the case, then I would think they would have given me more than just 5 bullets. Though. I'm not sure I got any tungsten in this area. I may have gotten ripped off a little bit on that one. You can't like grab anything on this table, which that would have been a cool little tech demo. Certainly, if you could have grabbed something on the table and telekinesis it, but...
You a drinking man, Serrano?
No, sir.
I prefer cognac myself. Probably a bit cliche, but you just can't beat it with a nice cigar.
What did you want to see me about?
I'm not gonna lie, Professor. I don't like you. The way you look, the way you talk.
It's hard to listen to the audio here when you've got doors glitching and making noise.
If you need men to help you thaw those ice cubes you're experimenting on, you come to me, and only me.
Of course, I just thought it
I don't
would be...
care how much support you have back home. You're playing a dangerous game, Professor. And out here, you play by my rules.
So we may get some backstory here of some more characters that are clearly dead, so they don't really matter. Like, it may be this guy versus this guy, who cares, and maybe some of these people, who cares. Somebody spent a lot of time decorating this room, and oddly, you're really not going to do anything with it. It's weird that you have these lockers that aren't digital, too. They're just like breaking the entire logics of the universe by having lockers that aren't digital when every other locker has been digital, and technology that just doesn't make sense for the timeline. Yeah, and unless that had given me a massive amount of tungsten, which it didn't. Let's see. Health packs consume, heal the partner also. I guess there's no reason to even have that equipped. Let's go ahead and put the scope on that one. And then, let's see. I could craft this for 50 and increase my clip size, which probably isn't a terrible thought. Let's see. Or I could get a full long range aiming, which wouldn't really help. Or we could get damage support. Ooh, that's new. I guess we want damage support. Yeah. Increase the weapon damage for self and partner. Yeah, so I think we may very well just hold on to that one. And you can't... if we were to sell this, we would get some tungsten back. Yes, we would. Interesting. And if we were to sell this, we'd get some tungsten back. Wow. I think we've figured something out here. Scope would just give us scrap metal and semiconductors, but even that might work. Damage support. Okay, we're going a little crazy here. We still don't really have anything to do as far as an advanced rotator cuff, I think. Which is a shame because I feel like they're... is room for an improvement there. Doesn't seem like you ever get any more of these. Well, this would give me more. Neither one of these will give me like tungsten though, but they would give me other things. So let's sell some of this stuff. This potentially may have us rolling in cash. Yep. Sell the pneumatic torch. Sell this. We'll sell one of those. I don't even know if you could put 2 cores in the gun. I guess you can't. Or maybe you could. So maybe you could have a plasma core in the plasma core. That doesn't change. And we could increase reload but reduce rate of fire. Or reduce clip. Or we could increase clip but reduce damage. Or do 1 rate of fire and 1 clip. Well, I think that worked out very well. Turns out there was a little bit more tungsten to be squeezed out of finding weapons. So there is a little bit more of a reason to actually try and play the game this way. Apparently I could make a force gun for free here. Which I guess if these are just going to be free, I might as well craft one. Put it in the inventory. And then we'll see if we can sell the force gun. Possibly. I don't know why that was free though. That first one was. I could make this gun Mjolnir. I could make a pulse rifle. Let's see, we could certainly upgrade more of that. We need a tungsten torque bar, unfortunately, so that brings us back down to 75. And then if we were to dismantle this weapon, would it give us any resources? Or should we just equip the gun? You know what, let's just straight up equip the gun and play with it a little bit. We are getting near the point where we probably don't have enough inventory to be holding a lot of stuff, so that's going to be a concern. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a suit upgrade area for a while. You're just kind of never in 2 places where it would make sense that you would have 2 of these scavenger bots, though, placed in 2 different locations. And they seem to apply to entire areas. It would be fairly weird if they actually applied to individual rooms, because you'd almost never figure that out.
Isaac. Isaac, we're just outside.
Yeah, and we're freezing. Hurry your ass up.
They did do some nice triggering there where they didn't rush you along until you were ready to get everything built. So I'm thinking this guy is your co-op guy, but maybe he hasn't been with you this whole time? I really don't know who this guy is because I thought he kind of feels like he's the boyfriend, but the boyfriend I thought was dead, but maybe he's just a jerk character. She's the last other character that we barely got any backstory on. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose at least 2 of these guys. I see things. I hear sound effects happening over here, so I suspect there's some kind of monster ready to attack. This would be a weird, like, 4-way attack. Though.
How the hell did Danik's men find us?
Come on. Come on! Run!
Ellie! Go! We'll meet up at the warehouse!
So here's the Unitarian ships. I suppose completely breaking the game at this point. Just totally giving up on the idea of alright, well that force gun is not doing anything. You can throw as many people as you want at me, it doesn't matter. Here's what the problem is with this is it's just now halfway through the game telling me how to roll. That's ridiculous. The problem with this, of course, is that unless they were going to throw an infinite number of enemies at me, or the people were going to turn into necromorphs, which arguably that would make some sense if they started to turn into necromorphs. You have something called sitemap and you can't even read it. There might be a bit more of a challenge here, but I don't even know how my life got that low. Maybe these guys are a bit heavier hitters than they seem at first glance. You have these little alcoves that at best could be monster closets. Worst case scenario, they are nothing. And we've just got more of the annoying beacon sound effects. Seriously, like, I would say 60% of all the sounds in this game are annoying, whether they're intentional sound effects or glitch sound effects.
They must have tailed us here.
That's impossible. Not through shock space.
Yeah? Well, they did.
Ellie, can you make it to the warehouse?
Oh God, here they come!
First, I've even heard of the phrase shock space. And I imagine this is supposed to be some kind of challenge area, but so far I'm not really running into any challenge. And they're artificially trying to make me care about Ellie when the time I would have really cared about Ellie would have been in the second game, and we kind of didn't even care about her. Yeah. Let's see. These are like weird, just igloo buildings, military buildings, temporary buildings. And they're giving me a lot of opportunity to pick up a lot of resources. And I suspect we're gonna maybe shoot some people on rails, maybe have an on-rail sequence. Okay. Well, that's different.
Colin, get you guys over here. It's this way.
So I'm gonna have to... I'm gonna have to be careful.
Fall back.
I guess you want to probably shoot with this way. It seems like maybe somebody just got turned into a necromorph or eaten by a necromorph. I can't help but feel like that sequence in particular was designed in such a way that you had to take shelter because they were just firing ridiculously overpowered weapons. Yeah, that's what I'm taking from that, is that they were attacking with some ridiculously overpowered weapon that would do a lot of damage. Is this light something? Nope. This might supposed to represent something? Who knows? Like, there's very possibly something there of importance, and we're just not really focusing in on it because we're in the middle of this whole action sequence, and then it seems like we're gonna bounce around this area quite a bit.
Ellie, everyone all right?
Yeah, I think we're safe.
We are anything but safe. They're after Isaac and we're getting caught in the crossfire.
Look, the warehouse. The signal tracking experiment should be inside.
You're not worth as much trouble, Clark.
Right, well. So, we have a directed suspension field, which who knows what that is. Got boxes in the way. Not really giving you enough room to move the boxes out of the way. See if we can pull this off now. Do we have enough tungsten to upgrade our armor by 5%? Yes. We would be able to upgrade our armor to the max, or we could upgrade our health by another 25 hit points. Nope, I am short on semiconductors, and I'm now short on tungsten. And there's like no stasis improvement that can happen there. And there's no new suit that's gonna be handed to us. Let's see where we are with the scavenger bots. They're gonna be done in just a few seconds. This enables kinetic suspension of projectiles, which I don't know what that really means. I do think, though, I don't like this gun, and I think there is an argument now for really trying to find a gun that can fire at a faster pace and really take on the humans more. But I'm not sure you really need that. if anything, I would say the game has thrown you for an unfair loop in this, because they threw the monster battle at you, and that required a highly upgraded standard starter type gun, and then they threw these other humans at you, which require something very different. Alright. Seismic tool that fires explosive canisters. Incredibly slow. Plasma core. Yeah, I think the military engine would be the one you'd want to start with, and then you would want to try and upgrade it to do just a massive amount of damage. Could also craft that or that. Let's see, this force gun though is totally useless. I'm not even gonna give it the time of day. I'm going to instead equip that, dismantle that. I'm gonna take back this, sell this, sell one of these, take back one of these. Probably don't need somatic gel. And let's see, this damage, this gun, I would need to start thinking about upgrading that stuff if I was going to do anything with that, but I'm not. Let's see if we can. Nope, we cannot place the scavenger bots. I'll have to just hold on to them for a while. Still have only really 2 suits, and unless there was something about the environmental suits that slowed us down. Alright, we would need a massive amount of semiconductors, and we just don't have that. So do I have a reason why I would want to be able to increase the duration of stasis? I mean, well, with my stasis coding, there is an argument for that. I mean, either that, or I'm just gonna have to wait till I get 3 more tungsten or 7 more tungsten. Let's see if there's something I could sell to give me 7 more tungsten. And you just spend way too much of this game. Way too much of this game. As far as circuits, would there be a way to sell a circuit? Like this +1 damage? Yeah. I guess we can sell circuits now. Let's see. Frames. Semiconductors and scrap metal, semiconductors and scrap metal. I don't think I'm going to be able to sell enough to get semiconductors up, but whatever, let's just sell everything. I'm going to keep the military engine because I think there might be a real reason to keep that. Still kind of feel like I would like maybe there's some weirdness with something saying it's going from mid to medium. I don't know what the difference there is. Seems like that should have said minimal to medium, if anything. And even that doesn't really make sense. It'd be small, medium, large. Okay, so we can upgrade this, and we are just a little short. Now, we would be quite short on tungsten for that, which makes us quite short for everything else, I think. Yeah. You upgrade the suit and you don't even walk into the suit changing cutscene, so you don't get to see that very often. Yeah. What section are we in? Let's just ask that question. Chapter 10. Alright, well, it's been about an hour. So, yeah. We're starting to run into a situation where we need more health kits all this halfway through the game. We have a ridiculous amount of scrap metal, a fairly decent amount of somatic gel, not a lot of semiconductors for what they're asking for, not a lot of transducers, and nowhere near enough tungsten, obviously. We are on chapter 10. It's going to try and rush us through the end of the game, but I think it won't do it particularly fast. I'd be really surprised if we ever get a personality pack or accelerator or capacity upgrade on these bots, which almost certainly those would have had to been bought. And I definitely can see a situation where, had I spent extra money on this game through DLC, I would have had more tungsten to upgrade my suit and build more weapons. But if you play the game the way I think the game should be played, you're gonna mostly focus on your first gun only, so I've done fine. In fact, I've been able to play up to the halfway point and not even realize I could have been selling parts of the guns and getting tungsten from that. So I'm still fairly well suited. It says we're 12% done with this chapter. There's 2 more weapon parts, 1 more circuit. We collected 94% of this, of the previous chapter. Which, yeah, I don't know how I missed 2 weapon parts, but whatever. And missed a weapon part in the previous chapter. Missed some collectibles of no importance in the previous chapter. I could definitely see a scenario where people struggle just because they didn't wander around looking for weapon parts. That is kind of the weird part, I suppose, around that whole concept, is that if you are going to try and make this more of an action game, you would have had to been much closer to Dead Space 1, which just handed you weapons. Like, you pretty much had no opportunities to miss at least 80% of all the guns in Dead Space 1. Where in this case, because you can build your own guns, and because you're only getting components most of the time for guns, you could easily, if you were just running from the main start point to the finish as fast as possible, you could easily miss all the guns. And because you can only carry 2 in your inventory anyways, you could easily never realize that they have any potential value, which I think they barely have potential value. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.